Okay, so let's try to resolve a rather common problem that some have experienced making use of Epic's marketplace assets. In particular, in this case, making animations work with your current project, and to examine that within context, I've installed the third-person template as to this type of familiar character running around in a map and doing some jumping and turning and etc. And then, of course, it's very limited in its movement, and we want to add more animations, of course, to make much more complex action behaviors. And then, of course, we go over to the Unreal Marketplace and we look through the different animations available. You got the preset, and you got animation packages that merchants have developed and made it available for a fee and etc. And first thing you do, of course, is import it into your project, and then find out that lo and behold, it's not jiving with whatever it is that you have set up, which is really more in the nature of packaging for what is required to make assets available on the marketplace. So in this case, when we import animation sets, they have to be targeted already to a skeletal structure that is compatible with the animations. Otherwise, you just get basically a black box that says there's no animations assigned to this, blah, blah, blah. And it makes things painful even just to kind of look at it. So if we go over to the animation starter set, for example, if we highlight the character here, we can see that the skeleton is what it's assigned to is contained within the animation starter package as UE for character mesh. So that would be starter package, mannequin, mesh. This particular skeleton that's included as part of the packaging requirements, as in you need all the nuts and bolts to make it standalone, so it could be retargeted or targeted or replaced onto a different skeletal rig. In this case, the one that we're making use of as part of the third-person template. So if we go ahead and open this, we can see that as part of the animation sets, we can see down here in our asset browser, all these animations are what is valid as far as our character model goes. We even have kind of a makeshift blueprint or blend space already to be made use of. And of course, we can make blend spaces and montages and etc. based on this set here. So that's good. We know that that as far as usability goes, that they are visible to the project. And that's another important factor, of course, is that the asset has to be visible to your project to make use of it. So if we go down to our mannequin as part of our third-person template, and we bring up the skeletal mesh, you can see that, hey, it looks like just like the skeleton that we've imported. But if we look down into look at the animation sets available to this, it's very rather limited as to 7 different items as to start loops and ends and jumps, which is the behavior, of course, as what we see in the screen here as to run forward, turning and jumping. Very basic set. So we want all our animations to make use of that skeleton. Now, a simple way of doing it is they refer to it as retargeting, but retargeting, as to word use, means taking animation data sets that are applied to one skeleton and then moving them over to another as to the difference in naming convention between the two. So they might call the hips hip, for example, or pelvis, or etc. They might use a totally different naming convention. So for example, Genesis 8, totally different naming convention than the Unreal 4. So we need to make a template that will allow us to retarget the data to that character rig based on the orientation. So it's just a control object is a control object. So as long as the hierarchy is similar, you can take the animation data from one rig and which has been assigned to up left arm, for example, and move it over to left arm or upper left arm or using a totally different name convention for that particular object, but within the hierarchy is the same between the two of them. So that makes life a little bit easier. So the way that Unreal 4 kind of works, though, is it separates the mesh from the character rig, and then based on that character rig, in this case our UE4 mannequin skeleton, we can then use whatever asset off the Unreal 4 marketplace as part of our project by simply targeting or replacing the skeletal information that's been applied to it, so it uses the skeleton as part of our project. Now, a simple way of doing that is just to simply select the mannequin that has all the animation that we want on it, as I demonstrated, and move that over to our third-person template skeleton by right-clicking on it and retarget to another skeleton. When we hit that, of course, we get this nice little dialog box, and we need to turn off show only compatible skeletons, which is kind of weird because the skeleton that we imported is compatible. So we get this stuff up here, but we already have our default selected, of course. So if we select the UE4 mannequin here, that is part of our third-person mannequin setup, and we go retarget. In proper word use, of course, is replace or target, because they're the same. There's no difference between the two of them. So we just want to move our data set from our Anim starter pack over to our project skeleton within this kind of flow. We can do the same thing, of course, with different meshes and etc. and what have you. And then we just go retarget. So when we hit the retarget, it goes and does its thing, it reorganizes and blah, 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 out it goes, boom, it stops. Now if we select our skeleton here, we open it up, our animation is gone, because we no longer have any animations that are referenced to this skeleton, because it's been targeted to a different skeleton, which is down here in our mesh, and we select our UE4 compatible target here. We go to our animation selections here, and all of a sudden we have all these different animations that we have access to, because now it's being referenced to our third-person template and no longer being targeted to our animation starter package. Now, I believe you can do the same thing to different assets. Skeleton import. No, I don't see it. Is it retargeted for us? Yeah, it's been okay. Our skeleton has automatically updated the reference for our skeletal mannequin mesh. See, skeletal management mesh up there at the top there. So if we open that up now, you can see that our animation sets can be applied to this. Now, if this was a different character model, then this would, this would represent the mesh here would be that different character. Okay, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so that's hopefully be enough information required. I also found that you could do some quick down and dirty stuff by actually deleting the mannequin. But that gets kind of risky. I believe in newer versions of the of Unreal 4. It doesn't work as to what I would expect it to, so be very careful about that. Okay, that's it. That's simple. Bye.